Hello once again, it's me Misham Faith here and I greet you with another video. Hope everyone is doing great. Today I'm going to perform an oil and oil filter change for my Gixxer Sf 250. So thought I'd share it with you. The oil change process is going to be similar for the naked Gixxer 250 as well. This is the second oil change ever for my motorcycle, and since there is no Suzuki authorized service center around my area and I had to travel around 70 kilometers just for the service, I started doing it on my own. Since the motorcycle is relatively new and has ridden only around 2500 kilometers, I feel nothing could get wrong with the motorcycle that I had to take it to a service center. And if you own a motorcycle new, I suggest you take it to a service center for at least the free services for warranty claim if anything had to go wrong. Also, it is necessary to perform engine related works such as shim replacement or rocker arm adjustment or timing chain replacement with the authorized service center. But they go out of spec only after riding thousands of miles unless you're thrashing it around. So it's a no big deal, I would say. Though these regular services such as oil filter, air filter changes, chain lubing, brake pad replacement, throttle play, clutch play, chain tension, etc. are quite easy to do, things could go wrong if no proper care is taken, such as over tightening of bolts, forgetting to reinstall washers, or misalignment of parts while refitting. Hence, make sure you are careful and don't be in a hurry. Before starting the oil change, I suggest cleaning the motorcycle completely so no dust or foreign matter gets into the exposed holes. So now to begin with, first start your motorcycle if it's not warm and allow it to idle or use mild throttle to bring the engine temperature to warm. This increases the flowability of the oil for draining with a decrease in viscosity. Now turn off the engine and allow it to cool for around 30 minutes until the engine case is safe to touch. This makes sure that most of the oil in the gallery has returned to the sump to be drained. Don't wait for too long because the heavier dirt particles on the oil might settle on the sump and might not drain along with the used oil, even though it's no big deal. Now crack loose the oil drain bolt. You'll need a 14mm spanner for this. A box or ring type may induce more leverage and would avoid slip. Bring a wide mouthed pan underneath the drain bolt and loosen the drain bolt slowly with hand until it comes out. If you have mistakenly dropped the drain bolt into the old oil pan, don't worry, you may recover it using a magnet sometimes and if the pan is not metal. Now, let the old oil drain while we continue with our other tasks. To replace the oil filter, remove the right side belly bolt and the screw on the front wind deflector and loosen the belly part of the right side of the motorcycle fairing where the oil filter and filter cap are located. You will need a hex driver or Allen key and a Phillips head screwdriver which is also provided with the motorcycle. Before removing the bolts of the filter cover, place a soft cloth over the plastic so that you won't scratch it. Now using an 8mm spanner, loosen the two bolts evenly and then you can remove them by hand. There is going to be some oil seepage from the filter cover when undone, so put a waste rag underneath the sump area or you can clean it up later. Now remove the old oil filter and simultaneously check the gasket on the filter cover along with the sealing O-ring on the inner side. If they are flexible and not cracked, they can be reused. But if you have new ones lying around, I suggest you replace them. There are 3 oil lines coming into this area and I think one comes from the pump and one goes for the lubrication and one goes to the oil cooler and is sent to cool the cylinder and head. The oil filter is provided with a safety spring valve mechanism to allow extremely cold starts when the oil freezes and becomes greasy and thereby not clogging and damaging the pump. Clean the oil filter area with a cloth before installing the new oil filter and make sure you reinstall the O-ring properly. Install the new oil filter with the hole facing the engine. By the way, the oil filter I have purchased for this motorcycle is from Minda and it's crazy cheap at Rs 14 only. The model number is OF2005EL. I'll leave the link in the description. The oil filter Suzuki used when I purchased the motorcycle new is from Elofic and I was not able to purchase it anywhere online. Hence I went with this one. Since many switches of the motorcycle and many inner plastic parts of the motorcycle are made by the same brand, I hardly doubt it's going to be bad. You can also purchase genuine Suzuki oil filter from the Suzuki service center itself and that will cost you around Rs 40. Make sure the spring on the oil cover is secured properly. The spring forces the filter over the O-ring, thereby making a good seal. Now place the oil cover gasket on the groove provided. I personally will apply quite a bit of grease on the groove to keep the gasket from falling while installing. The filter cover looks like it can be installed with the bolt holes swapped. But if not placed properly, the filter cover may not stay flush with the clutch cover and may even cause leakage. Therefore, I made a marking on the underside of the filter cover the previous time that faces the ground and also it is not visible when fitted and it helps. Install the filter cover and fit the bolts parallelly for proper mating of the surface. Do not over tighten the bolts or you might damage the threads. Tighten it until you feel it's perfect and don't tighten it any further. Reinstall the belly hex bolt and the wind deflector bolt and secure the fairing properly and give a slight press on the lower fairing panels and ensure that they are properly seated. If the oil from the sump is still dripping, wait for another 10 to 15 minutes before putting back the drain plug. You may also move your motorcycle side to side so that any residual oil left is also drained. Clean the coupling area of the drain bolt washer and the oil sump so that the washer couples perfectly without any leakage. Before the drain plug is attached, make sure the washer is in good shape. If there are scoring marks or impressions on it, then replace it. Tighten the drain bolt until it's snug enough, but do not over tighten it. Now there is only one more thing to do and that is filling up the oil. This bike, according to the manual, will take around 1.2 liters of 10W40 grade JASO MA2 certified engine oil if changed along with the oil filter. Coming to the engine oil brands, even though there are multiple brands, the difference between them is very minor and I feel is not worth getting a very expensive one unless you have a very aggressive throttle usage. So I personally chose the Castrol Power On Ultimate, which is the cheapest of the 10W40 synthetics available. It's also a tad bit viscous than the Motul 7100 and that might help in good film forming, although I'm not sure about it. Also, I didn't notice any oil drop the last time I filled it. So for the price, it's pretty good. With the drain plug tightened up, fill the sump with oil until you see the level on the glass window to be anywhere around the full and the lower mark. I wasted a tiny bit of oil by looking at the recording while filling, but you can use a funnel, but I don't consider it as a necessity. Checking the oil level has to be done with the motorcycle standing perfectly vertical. When the oil level comes anywhere between the low and the full mark, put the filler cap back, start the motorcycle and let it idle for around 1 to 2 minutes. Do not rev the engine during this time. Now turn off the motorcycle and wait for another 10 to 15 minutes for the oil to drain back into the sump. With the engine off, hold the motorcycle perfectly vertical once again and check the oil level through the window. Top it up close to the full mark. Do not top it up beyond the full mark. Too much oil can be as dangerous as too less oil. Once again, start the motorcycle, stop it, wait and check the oil level. It has to be slightly below the full mark. Pouring too much oil might end up in the oil going past the compression ring due to oil splash and getting into the combustion chamber, causing it to burn oil, which will shorten engine life extremely fast. In other cases, the crank might whip the engine oil, which is on a higher level than the recommended level, thereby causing air bubbles and froth, and in that way not allowing the oil pump to prime the oil. Too less oil, as everyone knows, will cause the engine friction parts, bearings and gears to run dry and might jam the engine parts due to oil film shortage, thereby causing seizure and permanently damaging the engine. So that's it for now, guys. Hope it's easy for you. I also suggest you checking the air filter and checking chain slack and lubing the chain alongside. Thank you for watching and see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, give me a like, and if you have any questions, one can comment down below and I'll answer them.